All right. uh, Grand Rising, everyone. It's Shay Seeking or Shalonda, and yeah. So today, anyways, y'all just getting me, you know what I'm saying, right out the bed. Like this is just what it is. Ain't nobody did nothing to this. Ain't nobody did none of this. We're just gonna go with it. Oh, but I do have on these earrings that I made out of wood and paper. Anyways, so all right, so okay, so I don't even know how I want to start this. Like again, th- the journey has been kind of ridiculous, and I've picked up things along the way from the gods, the ancestors, and my guides. And just me. Like I don't know. It's just been like a turbulent like past couple of months. But I've always felt like that there was something that I had to do. Like even when I'm taking y'all back to the book that we started, the spring, and it talks about like that I think it was Black Hawk that told Esther in that book that she has a journey to go on. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be like tough, but don't stop, right? And so again, this girl in this book was a seer, and she also was coming. She came into contact with somebody that was supposed to be somewhat of a twin flame with her in the end of the book to a certain extent, right? Okay. So so again, that's what opened my eyes and opened up that gateway, that door that I wanted to shut so many times. But again, you know what I'm saying? Again, today I'm just telling the story. Okay, I'm just telling the story. We're gonna look at a couple maps and we're gonna talk about a couple things. Okay, so so I started on this journey or whatever, and so again, it led from, um, you know, uh, being in the spirit of wisdom, in the spirit of Ishtar, in the spirit of like all of these female deities, and like kind of like feeling like I'm fighting for something that again, a voice that they just didn't have, right? Same time, it can look like a disregard for my ancestors or my grandparents or my great great grandparents. But again, the way being, I guess, a seer in a sense is, like I told you guys, going back into these energies and entities brought me actually a little bit closer when it went to my genealogy, coming in from the ancient antiquities with the way that I see, and then incorporating that with some of the things that I found in genealogy, and with the names and things like Manasseh, and with all these names just being in the family, Moses and Aaron again, and then that those names come back up because my uncles' names, in this day, my uncles' names, they said that they kept those names for a reason. They kept the same names as what their past ancestors, and I just wondered, like, wow, we didn't keep anything else. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny that that kind of like resonated with me, right? So then, on this journey, I found out that the stories in the Bible, I was saying that they're not as old. The Bible is not as old as we think it is, and I mean, it's to a certain extent true. Again, you can go back into all my other videos when we explain those things thoroughly. Okay, and but then I started to see that, like, now with this whole new level of consciousness or whatnot, I started to see that, whew, that it's the way we see. It's the way that we're thinking and the way that we see. And in that the biblical text is actually, a reference of past, present, and future. And again, we are the ones that we have been waiting for. And so we are going to be in that text. Again, our ancestors were in that text. Again, when we're thinking that if we want to make a quick reference of the old world, again, regardless of what they told you in the education system and in your church, it was lies. And so, again, I think that at some points in time in our story on this plane, there has been a deep rooted connection. Again, like, and we were talking about these thrones and things, right? These thrones of a god, right? That would be, again, you would have to have followed me on this journey or walk with me on this journey to see where we're going with this. But it's a spiritual sense of these vassals the powerhouses, right? Or the real conductors of this type of energy, this intuition, this inner something. When we think about the Americas being a matriarchal society prior to colonization, these were the vessels, you know. And when people came in to these lands, there was women running things, and the people that came in and took over, if we want to just put this in layman's terms, because a lot of people that are on this channel already know much of this stuff. Even with Ashera, again, we're just talking, and I'm just making up reference points. Being the first black water, right, to be inhabited or consumed, I would think, by a god. Well, again, we know that the men were leaving their mother and fathers to cleave onto their wife, and their wives will be the women that were in the Americas that took on these men. So again, we're talking about America. We're talking about a feminine energy. We're talking about women rulership. And again, with everything, it goes against everything that society. Now, I'm not saying that she couldn't have a king or she didn't have, but I'm just saying it goes against everything that Judaism and all of these other religious aspects give. Same thing with Ashera being mentioned in the Hebrew text. But again, in the Holy Bible, they want to. Same thing as wisdom being named a woman in the Apocrypha, but they want to, see? Same thing with the Ruach being there in the beginning. Because again, if we look at the beginning, that was the beginning of their creation on top of a nation. You have to go back into other videos if you want to know more about that, right? So this is all coming from a way of a direct contact to what would be the all, in my eyes. And dealing with the Akashic records and the books being open, not realizing that those books are probably the records, right? That these memories or these things, that's why I call it remembering, are coming through your DNA or your makeup in a sense, right? And the connection you have to those particular ancestors, which why a lot of these things tell us to stay away from our ancestors and to stay away from certain things that women are using right now, even to awaken and guide the people to wake up and be in tune with themselves and with nature and in tune with the higher power or source. Because again, once they educated that, which means to lead out and train, once they've done that, then they've gotten rid of that. Once they got rid of tribalism, they got rid of that something that we had, that all of this stuff would resonate with us at an earlier time. And like going through these processes, again, me being 40, right? Going through these processes, these would be certain rites of something like not even an initiation, but they will be something that will be going on with us naturally within the tribes at those times, a sense of an awakening or going into a different part of your life as to what you would be bringing or providing to the tribe, whether it's a old wise lady, a shaman, a healer, you know what I'm saying? These things we would go into, or again, once a certain age will come, they will be able to look at you and see these particular things. With boys or men, they would send them out into the wild or the jungle or something, and they would learn these particular things and then come back with, a certain sense of like entitlement or whatnot. So again, I don't even know how we're going about this, but what I'm saying is they want to erase the mother. Okay, so again, we're talking about the mother of all. Okay, so again, Eve is the mother of the living, right? So again, I wonder how, if we went from Lilith to Eve, and Lilith was vilified, right? Probably because she was standing up to the truth, because she wasn't going to be bought out. She wasn't going to be sugar-coated. She wasn't going to be silenced, right? So again, when we want to look at this, when we're talking about like idols, somebody did a good video on trophies or trophy wives. And so when we want to look at it like that, in the sense of idolizing, an idol is someone would put in the place of this person because of appearance or because of other things, right? Because of beliefs or something like this. So they would take down, even when we talk about colonization, they would chop down, remove the male, and then take what would be natural or what would be that would be natural to the woman away from her. And if that didn't work, she had to go. She might have gone into a lower position as a servant or a housemaid while they brought in their women, okay, to take the place of these particular women, though it be because of her looks, because of whatever it would be. This is just how it went, okay? So again, I say, like, in this day and age, it's like, no, like, this whole you know what I'm saying. All right, I guess we can use that. Society is not right how they have dominated, right, and try to erase or remove. So again, some of us are here in a sense of not being reincarnated, but in the sense of we're living through, like we've tapped into something where we have removed that, and we had to remove that programming that had been placed, that mind control, and we had to tap into something real deep, doing that root work or that deep work, you know what I'm saying, and staying away from certain things that even in your Bible, because I do not take the Bible, I use common sense, critical thinking, wisdom, knowledge, discernment, and all these things when I'm reading the text. Ain't nobody gonna tell me that we talking word for word in there. The way I do it is just the way I do it, okay? So again, and then it brings more answers that are realistic and clear than it would anytime you have been in church for these how many years you've been in there, okay? That is all a part of indoctrination and manipulation, okay? So again, we're going to go ahead and look at some things again. I'm laughing and things like this, but I do have somewhat of an uneasy feeling. But again, I feel like I was built for this. And so again, I can't, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not someone that can be silenced. Once I catch on to something, it's just going to be what it is. And that's just what it is, right? So again, I know that there are entities and beings in high places that are on to what is going on. They have been watching those of us that are here to do these things that we're here to do. And again, it puts a somewhat uneasy feeling, but I don't know, a fearless person. I just feel like I'm just at this point where I'm just like, all this stuff I've been through, they know what it is, because some of it is what they put me through. And, I'm not going to speak on this or bring this to light. I don't know. I don't think so. So again, this is not no shade towards nobody. It's just speaking what it is. This is what I do. And so we're going to do it. So anyways, I'm going to make a couple of pointers about some of these things. And again, the way I write, I can't even read it sometimes, especially when I'm like in like a frenzy. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to make a couple reference points, and I'm going to bring you guys along the journey with me. We're going to look at maps, and we're going to go back into the biblical text, and we're going to read stuff about this divine feminine energy, this high priestess. Okay. Again, when I think about this and I think about Bilquis in American Gods, right? In that episode where all of the men were they were like showing her story. And all of the men were coming for her throne to knock her off of her throne because they didn't want to see a woman in power. So again, right now, I'm saying that there's supposed to be certain people in certain positions right now that are supposed to be doing certain things and calling shots. But again, we have a society that has, and so it is what it is, and call it anyways. And we want to look at this whole thing as like like I said, Lilith being the mother of all, right? And we want to look at it about in the beginning. Well, if you do etymology on the beginning, and if you break down that whole first verse in Genesis, you'll see that that beginning is just their beginning in creating a nation on top of already something that was already there. So the earth was first. The earth makes reference to beings in your concordance at some times. So I think that's one of the times. But it was a chaotic mass, meaning she wasn't having it. You could look at it as in the dark vapors or the dark whatever. You can look at it as the Milky Way, the galaxy, the womb. You know what I'm saying? You could look at it however you want to look at it. But again, that chaotic vapors, again, we're looking at order out of chaos, right? Order out of chaos. And that chaotic fume or that breath or those things that have been going on the plane was a form of judgment from God. Which one? Okay? Which one? Okay, so again, we want to look at even when it comes to the storyline in Lucifer. Okay, and I look at these things because I'm studying these things, because we call it television, but sometimes it is telling you something. It may be telling you a lie to your vision because it's giving you a certain perception, narrative, or notion, but it's not really it's not really lying that much about the storyline, right? They're not going to put people in that resemble certain people. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so so all right. So I want to just talk about these things because, again, it is something that I've been going on with for some months now, and I've been having visions and dreams and, all these things, and astro situations. Again, some of the stuff I feel like when we look at some of these images of Inanna or Ashera or Astara, however you want to pronounce it. Even when we look at Sekhmet, it's always some form of blinding that happened. It's always some type of blinding. And we were talking about selling the birthrights when it comes to, goodness, why did the name just slip? Jacob and Esau in the stew. If you do etymology on stew, you'll realize that it really didn't mean what it meant, and it could have been just like a jumbled bunch of stuff that would, again, blind, right? So we talk about distractions and things like that in this day and age and this time, right? So again, I was looking at this whole thing as a distraction, yes, from these worldly things that I feel like within the past couple of years we've been focused on. But when it was coming to the spiritual aspect, I could not get away from it. So I think that was just a part of just grasping that and saying, hey, it's not what everybody else is doing, but this is what Source is showing me. This is where the ancestors are guiding me. I'm not everybody. Everybody ain't me. So, what I'm saying? This must be what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Okay? This may not be, people may not like it or whatever. But again, it's a part of my purpose, right? Okay, so again, these are just notes that I just made in reference to this. And then we're going to go ahead and look at some maps and things like that and see what we see. Again, so this is a theoretic view. Okay, because again, a lot of us are going to be doing things and saying things that are going to be unheard of. People are not going to know how to fathom these things. They're not going to be, but again, I think some of us are ready. Some of us are ready to see things for what they are, and some of us are ready to realize that everything that we've been taught has been somewhat of a lie, or something that you should really question, like question everything, okay? And then go from there. Okay, so again, like I've been feeling like there's this whole on the spiritual aspect, some kind of thing to some rites, like a initiation or something in the spirit realm, okay? For instance, I told you guys the other day in the video about the instance that happened, in the kitchen. So again, you'll have to go back and look at that, where it was just like some kind of something that just took over. And then there was other like downloads and signs, and symbols again that I ran into that kind of confirmed everything for me. Okay. So again, these are just some references that I took from a couple of different videos that I kind of was just listening last night and just jotting down things like, okay, that's what I see. I see that. I see that. And so again, I kind of wrote these things down, and hopefully we can read the handwriting. Okay. So again, like I said, we were talking about the whole twin flame kind of thing, and how I was telling you guys that, I feel two energies there. Okay. So again, somebody was trying to explain to me the difference between the soulmate and the twin flame, and I still don't really necessarily understand, but I do. Again, I was thinking of it as like a manifestation, right? But I do know that there's two strong male energies. Okay. And again, if we think about and I'm just using these names because these all reference to the same individual to me. Again, this woman that has come in different vessels, this soul from, again, the Lost Gospels of Jung. Again, I feel like she comes in different vessels at different times to do different things. And sometimes it's destruction. Again, even we're talking about Yeshua or Isis or whatever, and coming Sekhmet, it was all for a form of judgment. Sometimes destruction. You know what I'm saying? And these people would be, again, looked at by society or cast out or isolated or treated a certain way. They would not be welcomed, again, by their hometown or recognized by their hometown. You know what I'm saying? These are people that would, again, feel more comfortable around people that are like them or can resonate with what they're going through, okay? And sometimes that didn't always end well, okay? So again, they really had to be for self. Like even dealing with like trust issues. People will say trust issues, but I just think like no. Or even like a woman having a more masculine approach, okay, or thinking like a man in a sense, right? Which again makes me consider or second guess the whole thing about, you know, like I said, androgynous, or even thinking of it with that male reference. Because if we look at some of these pictures of images of women in antiquity, when it comes to the Americas and the people that were already here, and the way that these women were built, they were kind of robust, if you might want to say. I mean, calves, and you know what I'm saying? Like, these women were not like, they were strong. They were warrior empresses, okay? And again, but today we're called angry so-called black women, you know, when you stand, you know what I'm saying, on your own, or you stand your ground, right? So anyway, some things that I noticed, okay? So again, they make reference to Genesis 11 and 21. I have that noted here, so I'm going to go ahead and start there when we go into the biblical text. But, you know, it was talking about how her name was mentioned 40 times in the Hebrew, right? But then it says something about 40 years old, right, would be a time when she would come into a certain level of knowledge, right? And then again, you know, some of this stuff may be sacred, right? Some of this stuff may be sacred, but again, me speaking on this is just a sense of feeling like for her to be silent, right? To keep certain things silent that may not be looked at, like even when Christ would come, right, and say these things, people thought like, oh, he's blaspheming or whatnot. But anyways, it was just bringing the truth, because then we talk about the truth, right? We talking about somebody that's a bearer of the truth. But again, if the whole nation or the whole world has been deceived, then that person is going to become a liar, and they're going to be vilified, and they're going to be looked at in a certain manner. But I think, again, in these days, these things and this ascension, this awakening was to get us prepared to awake to certain things that you may not have heard it from me. Some people ain't going to like it because it's coming from me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, some of these instances I feel like are wake-up calls or things that I need to share for others to realize some things as well about themselves. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just standing, I feel like, in a different position, because I'm going to have to be the presenter or the bearer of this news. Okay, so again, me being, like I said, 40, some of these things just hit me like, you know what I'm saying? Come on now, girl, what is you reading? like I be all up in it. People in the house be like, what is wrong with you? When I'm doing my research, I be all grabbing books and stuff. I just go crazy, right? So again, we think about Sekhmet and her being someone that was somebody that was very knowledgeable, and she was a keeper of books, right? So again, there are a lot of us out here, right, that have these spirits, or the spirit of these people, right? And again, I look at it as like how we look at Christ and Christ consciousness as even, or these God particles, right? Coming from the feminine aspect as well, right? We're going to look at some images. We're going to look at some stuff, okay? Like we talked about with Venus, the clay figurine of Venus, and the thing that she has on her head, okay? And people think that it's hair, but for some reason it's coming all the way down to about here. So why would that be her hair? You know, like I said, and if you think about the storyline and read it, how they're speaking of it is like this all-seeing thing, or something like a Colosseum, or because that's more what it looks like the roll seating in like a Roman Colosseum, or even like the thing like Babylon, you know, the tower, Tower of Babel, okay, or Babel. We see these things even on Ashera, okay. It looks more like hair. They say it's an Egyptian wig, or it looks like her hair, or it looks like a helmet or something. But again, I think whatever it is symbolic of something that was going on, with like many different doors or many different something. And it just makes me feel like this energy is transmutable, or this energy is something that's going to be spread, right? Okay, in these times, so that we can open up the minds of the people. And then also, I feel like there's a way for people to either tap in, right, telepathically, or you know, are we talking about something like that? Or this person will be monitored again, because they say when it comes to Ashera that it was something like a heavy like observance or monitoring of. So again, as she comes in, you know what I'm saying? Even I look at somebody with one of these spirits would be I think her name was Sister Soldier. Goodness, what was her name? Probably back in like the 90s or something, I ran across some of her videos or whatever. So again, these empresses again have showed up throughout the test of time. So anyways, it's saying that this person has reference to what? Baal, the golden calf. Again, I think about Hathor because again, some of that story correlates as well. I had something else right here too, but I can't read it. So anyways, and then we talk about, I guess this make a reference to Afro-Asiatic, Phoenician, Acadia, Canaan, which again, I feel like has something to do with Canada. Egypt, again, which I believe is, again, in the Americas. We're going to look at that on some of these maps. Life, death, and we ain't even going to read that because I can't. Okay. And then also with her making reference to Isis, the lamb, and the ram. Okay. And again, the ram, well, I'm thinking Ramses, but you know what I'm saying, not even going all the way there. But the ram also with the Tar Heels having to do with Mesopotamia, having to do with the Carolinas or the Carolinas. Let's see. Oh, and then the Lamb of Christ. So again, I'm wondering why this whole energy, like I said, that I've been carrying with these two dominant male energies. You know, even when we look at Inanna, her and the two owls, and she's standing on the lion, or even we're talking about that space between the pillars, right? Okay, the pole or whatnot, right? Okay, and yeah, the ram also, like I said, having to do with like I don't know, a goat, or like these energies of when we see in Mesopotamia, even the two palms or two, there's like two reeds or two branches again on the side of her too. And then they also say like what she had, they had found these stones or whatever where they're supposedly had found this stuff, right? That makes reference to her. And I guess these stones are stones that represent kings, right? And so again, in there she had, they had the, I guess it had something to do with Ashera and two stones. And they were saying, so are we talking two kings? So again, this whole energy that I've been carrying on when it comes to the esoteric or the astral something, like I said, it's just been hard to even just, they've just been both been there. And it's kind of just been like looking back and looking at both. I don't know. It's like strong, right? But then it also shows reference of her, Ishtar, which again is Esther. They're all, it's again, like I said, holding the two lions or the two entities or creatures by the ear, right? In a sense. I don't know. That even making me make reference of even her having a connection with them and them being able to hear her in a weird way. In a weird way. Because again, I mean, if I told y'all some of the stuff, which can't. Okay. All right. So again, they're making reference to Ishtar, Venus, and Ashera, celestial, and then they're saying with those three male, the two males and one female Isis, or again, we could be talking about androgynous. Okay, and then Ishtar, Venus, and Ashera, but it says that these can be looked at as the celestial or astral, celestial trinity or astral triad in Mesopotamia. Okay. And then it says something about the Kadura. I don't know. That's one thing that I wanted to look into a little bit more. And again, you guys can add. I'm doing this because, again, you know what I'm saying? I'm just looking to see, again, what anyone else can share, because I have a different way of seeing things. It's more visual. It's more off of vision and just download. I don't know. It's just a different way. And like I said, the information I've taken over the years, and then with the biblical text and historical things, it's just here. Okay. But it says something about Babylonia, Nebuchadnezzar. And then I want to go back into the part about Terra. But we're talking about Terra when we go into this map, Terra de Labrador. Okay. And some of these maps that I'm going to show you. I'll keep that stuff until I can actually show you, make reference to, or, you know. Okay. So again, we're talking when it's making reference to these entities or deities: Sumeria, Acadia, Babylonia, Assyria. Okay. And it says here that, what else did I put? Run under the fate of Babylonia, then Alexander the Great. Okay, which made me think about Illinois and some of the stuff that was found in that area, because again, we're talking about, we're talking about Illinois, and thinking Cairo, and you're thinking about these things, and when I show you these maps, we're just gonna be like, wait a minute. Okay, so yeah, so it's saying Alexandria of Egypt, the capital of universal knowledge, right? So again, when we think about the fact that, like we talked about in videos a long time ago, like all this stuff is kind of just rushing. It's like, this is what all you've been doing all this for, girl. Get started. You know what I'm saying? I've been worried about other things and trying to keep up with, like, worrying about worldly things, when again, we're coming at it from a different angle. And maybe it's because of the angels and guides, right? Again, oh, the shirt, everything is just like not right. But anyways, it is what it is, y'all. Okay. So again, when we think about this, and we think about like all of the buildings and all of the architectural things in Chicago, and then also because we're going to be looking at this map here of the La Nova something, Francia, New France, okay, in 1556. So we're going to go ahead and look at that map. And again, you can pull one up. Again, I just told you what it is if you want to come back when we do it. Which I think is talking about they call it Middle Mediterranean. I don't know why that makes me think about Middle Eastern, but again, Middle Eastern in America, if we want to talk about that and how we really talking about what we're really talking about, then we'll talk about the Midwest, really. And then I don't know if some of these maps maybe have been flipped. I don't know. Okay. So again, we're going back, because again, I feel like I've been on this journey, but I've been kind of distracted. But again, all of the info, it's kind of like taking me, and I'm kind of doing it like this because I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to bring back where we were 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So we can look at it in a, all of its light and glory. Okay. So when we talk about the images of America, the latest, greatest, or whatever, that old book, and we see a woman, right? A strong, robust looking female that seemed to be a queen. See? Because we have to remember. So again, they're going to try to chop down these trees. And when we talk about chopping down cherry trees, and we talk about chopping down these trees, trees, roots, trees, fruit. Even in that book, The Spring, where it said that they chopped down a certain tree. But then they also said that they've been using this tree, okay, which is a force of life. It gives life, a life giver. When we think about the as above, so below, the tree, when we're talking about the, goodness, I can't remember what, it's not a willow tree. The tree of life or whatever. A lot of people are wearing them on necklaces and stuff like that these days. It also takes me back to Mesopotamia, okay? So, in Sumer or summer, We're talking on this strip of land that come all the way from the Carolinas, okay? Even Edisto Island, which is, again, my grandma's name is that, okay? All the way down over to California. Okay? So again, and it's so funny because we were just talking about this the other day. So again, thinking about this in this light or in this manner, you know, I know there's different energies or whatever. And again, we have to look at this always as a caste or a pyramid type of thing where the hidden hands, right? This is the last thing they ever want to recognize, witness, see, hear. Again, because again, the power is not in them. They want you to think that. They want to try to scare me and make me feel some kind of way. But again, it is what it is. I came here to do something, and we're going to do it. So again, I see them. I see the movements. I hear, listen, the way I see and the way I hear and the way I've been built, the things I've gone through, the obstacles that even remind me of who I was, right? To find that inner child, right? That was bullied or, you know, beat up, you know, like I've always been somebody that will fight for other people or do for other people. And, you know, when it comes to me, somebody can do things to me multiple times but when I do, it's a wrap. So I'm talking about body slams and all. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just, again, so now I'm older and that's more me within. The intuitive, that power, that something that is there that can stir things up and shake things up, right? So again, where are we at? Yeah, Ashera, noble goddess, kingsman. Oh, okay. Well, no, this is what I wanted to go into. That's a reference video that I wanted to go to. Okay. So again, this was the goddess of heaven, but then again, we look at Inanna, and she was the goddess of the heavens and the earth, right? So it says cut down in Second Chronicles. So we were just in Second Chronicles the other day, and we were talking about the fact that somebody was able to remove a temple or something of an idol of Ashera. So again, there's different gods in this Bible, in this book. So this is why you need to be very intuitive and very aware and use a sense of discernment or whatever to, I mean, I'm talking about verse by verse, chapter by chapter. We're talking etymology, all these things. Because again, there are different, God says that there's other gods. So again, there is, all right? So to say that, it's just like, and then it says something about a seer, right? Or Mount Seir. And then even someone being sent to go and see a seer, right? And so it's just, and somebody got pissed off from what the seer said, right? So again, I thought we were in that, right? Because I was feeling that whole energy. But actually, today, we can take that back into that chapter. And then a war, right? Or how they're going to mount up against someone would be in somewhere between 17 and 20 or 21. I think somewhere between 17 and 19, actually. Second Chronicles. And then you can make reference to Second Kings, because again, the way I do precept upon precept kind of leads it more in that direction. Like we're looking at dates. And like some day, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, and again, we can say it might have happened a long time ago, but his story or these stories repeat themselves. In a sense. All right? And then who has the power to speak these things? And then okay, so she was the only goddess in the Hebrew Bible. And then it says that Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel are just some of them, which have an unbalanced way of speaking between divine feminine and divine masculine, I'm guessing. And they blame her for making Yah Okay. Jealous. Okay. So again, the way that I've observed these things is that really, in my mind, in my mind's eye, there are things that I'm upset about that are feel like, when I'm tapping it, when I'm in this energy, that somebody is using a form of sorcery or something to blind or to halt or to block, right? All right. And so when we see these women with these blindfolds on and things like this is what I'm saying. Because things are out of whack. It's not natural. We're in a society where these males, and some of them not even masculine, okay, the deep-rooted, dirty things that, again, someone like me looks at and frowns upon. I don't give a damn who it is that, when we talk about children and things like this, even if this is some old stuff that came from whatever, this is something that I just don't agree with, all right? And again, and that I feel that speaking of these things over time and being someone who is just, so again, that's why they look at, that's why they're looking at us in a certain light, in a certain way, to see if they need to keep you blinded, because, some people ain't having it. And again, if society is used to these things, and if they're trying to push these things on your children in school and all these other things, then what are they going to do? They're going to try to get rid of someone like me that would really be an original conductor of these type of powers or energies or entities in this time, in order for they can keep on doing what they're doing. So they have the power, they have the money, they have the resources, they have the tools, but then we are the ones. So it's up to us, really, if this is what we want to keep doing. But then they have ways to distract and divide and do all these things and make people, and drag out your personal information and try to dirty your name in order to make it look some kind of way. Because again, it's all about dividing. And they know who holds the real power. They just don't want you to know. Okay? Yeah, so there's this word here, the Hebrew word kadu. And I'm going to have to figure out even how to really spell it and look. It's kadu something, okay? But it says a temple mind, okay? No, they said, okay, yeah, temple or mind. I put mind there because, again, I feel like the temple is within you, again. And then when we're talking about the temple, and a lot of times we're talking about the mind. And so it says something about a prostitute, right? Or priestess, right, is what this could mean. Now, when I'm looking at this, when it's talking about mind, and we're talking about Astara or Astra or Astral or Astro, do you see what I'm saying? Right? So a lot of times that we're seeing this in one way and not really being fair, because again, I feel like some of us are going through these things and not channeling, but are how can I explain it? So that we can share them as we go. These visions, these things, okay, because we're going to dream dreams and have visions, right? Okay, would be a form of, it wasn't that way. That actually she was trying, again, if we're talking about a jealous God, even if he would be jealous towards her because of her making leeway, right? And so again, a lot of these males also didn't like that these women were in a certain power. They didn't like, men say they like women for their mind, but do they really? When they mind them, I guess they do. But when you got a mind of your own and you are kind of like a masculine, feminine, then that's not the case. All right? When all in all, the female entity or divine feminine is looking to be a mate, a helpmeet or a mate. But society, again, these crooked people, they want to see it some other kind of way. Okay? And I'm not saying all of them, because I think that we're looking at it as people in lower realms of society are waking up and rising. And again, I would like to have faith again. And maybe it's that whole mother of all the living, right? Mother of the gods is what she was, right? What made me think that, hey, are we talking, and then are we talking about the God of this world being in control and keeping the God, the real God of this world, oppressed in a way? And he know that he need his queen, and so you see what I'm saying? We can go all the way there. But they'll use money and bribery and these things like this in order to keep him in the palm of their hands, or debt or finances or something of this manner. Okay? All right? So again, let's keep going. So again, we're talking about that. We're talking about energies, okay, or different, we're looking at it from a different angle, dealing with other angels or entities that may get close to, right, and want to be close to. We'll just say that. Maybe even in companionship, right? Because again, I mean, I guess it depends on how you're looking at it. Because they want to make her to be a villain. So if these people go around and say, well, hey, this person really ain't like that, that might cause some conflict. And that's my mama. That might cause some conflict. I mean, with somebody. And so I'm just looking at it like this. Like, I'm just saying, we just questioning things here. That's all we doing. I ain't here to tell you what it is, what it ain't. I'm simply sharing what it looks like to me. All right? And so, you know, because really, who's running the world? Okay? So again, I'm saying that I have had these visions, I have had these feelings or whatever. And again, affirmations, things like that. I know people write in stuff like, I am great, I'm wonderful, you know what I'm saying, like this. But I also write in things like, don't do this, I don't, keep me protected, I don't want nobody touching me, you know what I'm saying? Because again, I see things that are happening on a different level, on a different scale, that again, who would want, again, we'll just keep it like that. So some of you already know, okay? And some of it can be even deceptive, as if it's something that's not harmful. But again, when we're dealing with the subconscious and that certain blockages and things that we're dealing with when we're going through healing, you may not even be aware of what type of energy can be coming in. Again, because of that blindfold, okay? Right? It's almost like, ooh. It's almost like I remember being like 12 years old and not messing around or whatever. And being one of those girls that guys just were around. Again, I was more of a tomboy, but I had boobs. And so, you know, I had situations where hanging out with certain people led me to a situation where I was like, not taken advantage of like that, but just like touching, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it just makes you feel some kind of way. Like, and then, you know, you have it, that whole thing where I had to fight boys because you want to put your hands on me. Like, not in a like harmful way, but not for them, but for me. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So again, I had to fight because of things like that. And so in the spiritual realm, I've had to fight. You know, there's moments of weakness because, you know, you're not really, all this stuff is going on like this and you can't even, it's like, talk to who? Talk to who, right? And so, you know what I'm saying? I had to learn. It was like no guidance, like learning. But then with a little bit, but then the guidance you always have to question because you got trust issues, but you should. Like that, okay? So again, they're making reference to Ashera and Eve, the Shekinah, the Holy Spirit. Again, all wisdom, they're all in one, okay? And it says, followed by the gods, mother, or the mother of all gods, okay? Primordial mother, okay? The first black water, okay? I don't know why I put Pele here, but I also put the spring book, okay? Because again, in that book he was saying that our family has been using this tree for however many years, and you know, and he was like, I didn't even know that the Americas was even, there was no such thing as America back then. So what do you mean? All right. So again, when we're talking about that, I knew right away that we're talking about family trees. We're talking about bloodlines. Also, if you think about like old stories and things, especially when we're talking about the Carolinas, right, and other areas of, if we think about, you know, Canaanite, how they'll say it's like more of a, I don't like to use dog, but wolf. We'll just say energy because we're just keeping everything in layman's terms. And I'm not pretending to be anybody that is somebody that is a so-called specialist or specialized in these areas. Again, maybe we are though. See, maybe we are, because all of that stuff that they learn there is just okay. So again, you're gonna have to use something else other than what's out there to interpret what we're seeing and what we're knowing. Okay. So anyways, so again, that tree and having to do with something with, again, heraldry, land, resources, family ties and things like that. And we'll hear about stories of, certain entities or whatever. Even in my families or family, having interactions with different types of entities. Again, like, we'll just say that, okay? So again, they're talking about reference to Egypt and Israel, okay? And the bride of God, okay? Because again, when the man left his land from his mother and fatherland and joined to his wife, that would be America, okay? And so again, these would be the brides, the daughters, or dowry. It has to do with dowry when we're talking about daughters. Again, so yeah. Let's see. 40. Okay. So let me see. So again, there was some other. Oh man. Oh no, that was an image that I wanted to pull up. And then we'll talk about Exodus 24 and 18 and 34, 1 through 28. So again, I'm going to go back and reference to those. Those are the ones we're going to read. Okay, so again, the whole thing about when they turn 40, they qualify for a higher knowledge. Okay, and again, I think that, again, I'm just past 40, right? But, I don't know, maybe this whole thing has been something that's been going on. And again, like, some of this stuff, like, I feel like, I think some people think that what I do is like people pleasing, but at the same time, it's like speaking truth. And like, if everything has to be like so hidden and someone has to be in the dark, but then again, we talk about the biblical text, a lot of these things that were going on in the beginning were through mind control. Again, like I said, they had to get to your what first before they even got the book to you. We really in America didn't even have Bibles in everybody's house or in household where you can go to the store and get it until the early 1900s. I mean, really. So again, it wasn't the actual Bible. It was, again, manipulation, indoctrination, mind control, and different things. Lack of knowledge of self, because they had to start to tear away from the family, the tribe, and tear away from whatever, you would have originally been born with, okay? So when we talk about even demons and stuff like that, when you start doing deep research on those terms and going, you'll find out that it has something to do with a genius, or in a sense of something that you're actually born with. And I think that this is what they strip from you once they place you in the education system at such a young age. And that's what it was made for, and that's just what it is. To turn you into someone that will be able to work for them and theirs, okay? Again, I'm so glad to see more people are going into entrepreneurship these days. Again, so that you can have some generational wealth or something to pass on to your children. All right. So again, it was just saying how I think Inanna is Sumerian, you know what I'm saying, but we're really probably talking about the same entity or close to. Ishtar Akkadian, Ashera Hebrew, Ashera fearsome divine power, queen of all the gods. Okay, it also makes reference to King Solomon, because again, when we're talking about Bathsheba, even when we're talking about Esther in the biblical text, same thing. Esther in that book, The Spring, same thing. Ashera, let me see. Okay, so again, and then making reference of her as a with Amun Ra, or Amun and then Ra, Aten, the Apis, Isaac, the Ram is what they're calling it here, and then I can't read the other one. Okay, and then like I was saying, the two standing stones. And again, if you look back at Mesopotamia, you'll notice that these women, again, the high priestess or the queens or whatever, are usually represented with something on each side. An animal, making reference to an animal or something. Okay, because then, I mean, it is even funny because if you look at Adam, right, or Adams, or however people want to, whatever. Okay, if you want to look at it, when you see these women, when it talks about fertility and all these animals around them, who is Adam? Because he made them both male and female and called them Adam. So again, what about this connection with the divine feminine and masculine, that we see it as something that is, can we look at it as something that's happening internally with certain parts of you, you know? So with girls, you know, don't be tough. And then with boys, don't cry. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like this whole thing that we've been, society has, I don't know. And so it got a lot of people that's confused about their identity as a whole, I feel. And so, yeah, but we'll just notice things like that. Like most of these women here are usually, you know, and these women have to do with fertility. And like if you even think about even up to our grandparents having 16 and 20 kids and stuff like that, it's like, or children, because kids are goats, right? But again, animals are people. If you do the etymology on animal, we'll find out that we're talking about people in some instances. So I don't know. So again, that's like some of the things that like pique my interest. So again, we're going to go ahead and go into these maps, and they're going to open up a couple more doors for us, I would hope. I hope I'm not seeing nothing. I don't think that I am. I think I'm seeing what we're seeing here. I think, again, everything has been reversed. Everything has been reversed. So again, that will be good. In these times, they're going to make it look evil. They're going to try and do all they can to make it, to dirty it. And again, that's why we need to stand strong, and we don't need to be letting people dictate or divide. Again, like I noticed that, like a lot of these people that came in the past, you know, they lose everything. But then everybody will make you think that that's the way to go. Just cut everything off, lose everything. You know what I'm saying? And yes, I can see where it seems like you need to be around people that are like you. But if these are people that are like you that want your head, and that's the only place you have to go. Because some people think that, you know, Jesus, when it comes to Yeshua, or that it was his people that he went to and they didn't want him, or they killed him, right? But then some people saying, well, his people didn't want him and he had to go to the Gentiles, and then the Gentiles had the power and the moves to put him in a position where he would be then detained and then harmed. So again, who was it really? So again, I hope I ain't looking too crazy for y'all today. But anyways, maybe I'll come back with some makeup on later on. But anyways, I am who I am, and it is what it is. Y'all don't see me either way. All right? So, if you want to see more about this, then I guess we're going to go ahead and do some type of a breakdown. Again, if you want to catch up, I've already did stuff on this, talking about it, touching on it. But again, with these maps, we're going to be looking at this whole different. We're going to look at this whole different. So, again, I will see you guys soon. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Join us in the Facebook group American Aborigines Unchained for more information past, present, and future, not just by me but others. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care.